All right, welcome everybody to the Art of Healing with your host, Dr. Judy Jasek of Animal Healing Arts and Matt Rowe of ParsleyPet. During our show, we are talking about your pet's health, raw feeding, and alternative treatments for cancer, unexplained illnesses, and supporting your pet's natural ability to heal. Welcome, Dr. Judy, to this week's show.
Thanks, Matt. Happy to be here. Happy to be here as always, and excited about our topic today. This is something I'm really seeing starting to show up a lot, and in a very disturbing way.
You said something very important. It shows up in that very disturbing way, is that, under this moment of a diagnosis, we take our pets in and then all of a sudden we're given a prognosis that is doom and gloom. It's not positive. It's not good. And it scares the living tar out of us. And it leaves us with this feeling of, what do I do? Do I just euthanize my dog now? Do I try to just give them all this treatment and spend thousands and thousands of dollars? And it kind of leaves us in this feeling of just no hope. So when we started the show today, you started to talk about when you have patients come in and they've gotten this grim prognosis, you're looking at it saying there are other things that you can do. So talk to me about that. What would you recommend?
Yeah, and I'm seeing this more and more. I work with a lot of cancer patients, so I definitely see it in cancer patients, but even pets. I'm working with one kitty now that has really just severe upper respiratory congestion, and it's a very slow recovery, but it just doesn't seem to me like this pet is dying. Like I feel like there's something we can do. I mean, I don't ever prolong a pet's suffering unnecessarily if I really feel like their bodies are done, and I think you can tell. But I see pets come in here that have a lot of vitality, and by that I mean they're happy, they're coming in the door, they're wagging the tails, they're wanting to eat treats, they're just acting pretty normal. And then people will say, yeah, I'd had this lump or some particular symptom and went in and pretty much we're told, you either do thousands of dollars of tests or surgeries or biopsies, or in the case of cancer, chemo or radiation, or just take your pet home to die. There's no hope. There's no middle of the road. And I think the reason that that's what's told to people is the conventional veterinarians don't have other options because all they know is the conventional stuff. But what's really disturbing to me is the lack of compassion. I mean, people tell me this, and from many different clinics. It's not just like one or two clinics. It seems to be commonplace in the whole profession, where people are just told very coldly, there's nothing we can do. We can euthanize your dog, maybe take them home, spend a couple of days with them, bring them back, we can euthanize. But they're just not given any semblance of hope whatsoever. And just that, to me, it's a lack of human decency too. Just treat people that coldly when this is their companion, their friend, their little buddy, and they're just sending you out the door with no hope and not even any decent compassion. And from my perspective, I look at pets like this and there's all kinds of stuff we can do. First of all, just change the food, change the diet, get them on a healthy, fresh food diet. And then I do a lot of work with herbs. We do ozone therapy for cancer patients, mistletoe therapy. I mean, there's so many things. We never really run out of options. We have to just try to see what works best for each particular pet, but we always have options. And I feel like there's always hope, because I tell you what, I have seen so many miracles. I mean, I have seen so many pets. I've seen pets that have amazed me, that I'd be like, ooh, I don't know what we can do here, but you know what? We're going to give it a try. The pet's engaged, the person's engaged. Let's give it a try. And then I've seen just some very ill pets. I mean, some come in like I was describing, like they don't really seem all that sick. I've seen some others that are pretty sick. And to me, it's almost like, yes, I use these modalities and I think nutrition is important and all that. I honestly feel that this element of infusing hope into the process, I think that's a turning point. I really do, because once the people have hope, or they realize, there's things we can try. I don't know for how long. I can't ever give guarantees whether, the pet might live for a few more weeks or months or sometimes years. But when we infuse hope into the process, instead of the person just focusing on the fear and just the worry that weren't we just talking about worry before the show? And I get it. Of course, when you get a diagnosis, you're going to be concerned that your pet is sick, but there's, the body knows how to heal. And I find that infusing that hope and saying, let's just go forward, let's try some stuff, let's do everything we can to give this pet the best quality of life possible. And that's my focus. I heard a saying the other day. It was somebody on a podcast quoting somebody else who I don't know who it was, but they said that healing does not have a formula. There's no formula for healing. And I was listening to Carolyn Mace. That's who I was listening to. There is no formula for healing. I thought that is so true, because what happens in conventional medicine is it's all cookbook, right? You go in and you get a diagnosis of some sort. And it's the same with people or pets. You get a diagnosis, and then you get a prognosis. And then there's a treatment plan that fits that. They don't look at the individual pet, because I don't treat every condition, even if I could have 10 pets with supposedly the same diagnosis, but every single one of them is going to be treated differently, most likely, because there's no one size fits all diet. There's no one size fits all treatment protocol. Some pets, we need to move a little slower and introduce new things more slowly. Some pets have really strong constitutions, and we can move a little bit quicker. The plan is always tailored to the individual pet. But I see these, cookie cutter diagnoses, and then they grade things like, well, if the pet's got a tumor, well, you have to take it off so you can decide which grade it is, and then which treatment protocol is going to be, like they plug it into the computer system or whatever they do, and whatever treatment protocol is appropriate for that particular tumor and that particular grade. For me, it doesn't even really matter what the diagnosis is. I mean, you usually have that information, but if I see a pet and they've got a mass, I'm like, I'm not going to poke it. I'm not going to recommend removing it unless it's bothering the pet. Let's focus on supporting the pet from the inside out. It doesn't really matter what it is, because my approach is pretty much the same regardless of what the conventional diagnosis is. So it's a very different approach. But again, I think the most important thing is the hope. People come in so just devastated. They're like, they come in like, I've been crying for 2 weeks because I just got told my pet was going to, and I get it. I understand that's devastating. But once we can infuse hope into the process, and then the pet picks up on that, because they don't know why their human is like looking at them and crying all the time. They don't know. They don't get it.
Right.
And I understand that the sadness, but when we can be proactive, and I think giving people things to do, giving them options, helping them figure out things they can do to be proactive in the process, it turns the energy around. And I just more and more, I just think that's such an important part of the treatment plan.
Yeah. I mean, I love how you pointed to hope and possibility and changing the energy side of this, because your pets know when you're sad. When I walk home and I'm sad, Leo, he's an excited dog, but he'll come and rub his head up against my leg. He shows me in his own way, hey, I'm here. I know you're not feeling right. And so he picks up on that. So now under like a diagnosis, and like you said, if I'm crying because I think my pet is going to die, I'm transferring that on to them. And so anytime a body is out of balance through either we feel bad about something or there's a disease that starts to throw us out of balance and that energy starts to flip, then all of a sudden we're not giving the body that support to heal. Because like, I also like what you said about healing is not just one recipe. It's not like, oh, you've got XYZ, we're going to give you this, and then we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Good luck. Yeah.
Right. Good luck. And so when they come into you, you're giving them this hope that let's try this, let's go here. And so, we've had multiple examples in our lives where we see somebody or a pet that is at a grim prognosis, but then all of a sudden, as the pet owner starts to shift and change to this level of hope, their dog starts to follow. The dog starts to see this hope. This dog starts to bring balance back into their bodies and create the state of homeostasis, which is that ultimate health that they want, instead of the doom and gloom prognosis that they received. And yes, I get frustrated as well by some practitioners, and I see it all around the country, that has a dog come in that's not feeling well, they have a prognosis, they're like, well, it's cancer. Okay, good luck. Do this, spend this 10,000, chemo, the whole bit, or you know what? You'll just take them home to die.
Right.
Well, guess what happens? If you don't have the money, you take them home to die. And knowing that there are so many other things you can do, and that level of hope and the healing that brings in its own right.
Yeah, totally. And there's even, simpler conventional things. Like they don't even start, like say a pet is painful, they say they do have a tumor that's painful. They don't even send them home on pain meds. Like they don't do anything even within the conventional realm to help make the pet more comfortable. Just nope. It's like it's all or nothing. Like, and it's not. I mean, there's just so many things. The body, our bodies, our pets' bodies, they're fully equipped to heal. And I think most of the time we have to eliminate the things that are insulting the body, the poor diets, the over vaccinating, the too many pharmaceuticals, and all these things we've talked about before on the show. Eliminating those things and supporting the body, more gently is sometimes just the best way to go. I had a client in yesterday who brought in her German Shepherd because her German Shepherd had a hot spot in one of these moist, goopy areas of moist dermatitis, which dogs get now in the hot weather. And and she had started using it was just some kind of honey spray. So it was some kind of derm spray that had honey in it, just all natural, and brought it in. And I said, this thing's just about healed. Like we clip the little hairs, we get it like, really? I said, there's not much to treat. I'd keep using your honey spray. And she was just like amazed because she hadn't looked at it that day. 24 hours prior, it was a big oozing goopy sore. And she had this honey spray. So honey is a very natural and very effective skin treatment.
Right.
And she had just used something really simple. Now, if she had taken her dog into a conventional vet, they would have been put on antibiotics, which would have trashed the gut. And then guess what? That dog's going to keep getting hot spots all summer because we've just insulted the immune system by doing some natural, gentle healing. And she already has her dog on a really good diet, which helps. The dogs that are on fresh food diets and they're not getting these processed kibble diets, they're going to heal faster and they're going to do better. And, another thing I tell people, just because things show up in your dog, people will get frustrated. I'm doing all these things right. And then this happened. But I remind people that stuff happens, but think about how much worse your dog would probably be if you weren't doing everything you're doing. And your dog still has a much better potential for healing because of all of these things you're doing. Because if you weren't doing the diet and minimizing vaccines and meds and all these things, your dog probably would be in way worse shape. And we don't want to do that experiment But I do think that's true because, I mean, things do happen. We live in a toxic world.
Sure.
We're going to have stuff come up with our pets, but the pets that have the healthiest lifestyles are the ones that are going to be the most resilient and have the best chance of turning whatever the condition is into something manageable.
Right? Are you giving your pet every opportunity to heal and looking at multiple modalities for it? I love our vet community. I love our doctors, but they are only administering what they were trained with and what they were taught. And a lot of these drugs, they're taught by the pharmaceutical companies that come into them. And so they're using it to treat the symptom, to appease the pet owner, to give them a little bit of chance of, yeah, this could work. Let's try this. But like you said, it's another drug. It's another toxin you're putting inside the body. When you go back to the root cause, why did it start? For example, let's say their immune system, their gut microbiome was so destroyed from eating kibble and glyphosate. And this is, glyphosate, maybe you're walking them in a field or they're running in a field that's sprayed high with glyphosate, which is an antibiotic. And so you're ruining, or you're basically already destroying their gut microbiome, where your immune system is. And so now the body is not supporting itself. So then little toxin or little trigger comes in, and then it grows and it expands bigger. By dissecting back, maybe it's not another drug that's going to have your dog feel better. Maybe there's all these other modalities out there that we are not exploring because we're in this moment of fear, which is very real, which is, definitely a heartbreaking feeling. But how do we switch that fear to possibility and start exploring different things like what you do, Dr. Judy, is go, you know what, let me call Dr. Judy and say, am I doing everything I could? Where she'll start talking to you about diet. She'll start talking to you about, let's try this ozone treatment over here. I've seen this work. But all this does is just that little 1% step towards better. And this is, your pet is family. This is a family that we live with. Your two beautiful puppies, they're sitting there and they're your kids. They're your family. These are the ones you look forward to. Just like every pet parent out there, these are their kids. And so with my own children, I have two. If somebody came to me and said, Alex or Henry has this, I wouldn't just take what they said as truth or gold or the only way that I could go. I would be a research fanatic and try to find everything else I could do, from energy healing to different types of treatment to CBD to all of this stuff. But then also that big key important part is how we feel about it. Do we think it's going to work? Because it definitely is better when we think it'll work.
Yeah, I think that's very true. I actually, if I see clients and they are specifically asking about a certain treatment modality, like they're very tuned into homeopathy or Chinese herbs or whatever it is, or they come in asking in particular about something, I think there's a very strong, intuitive link between people and their pets too.
Right.
And I start there. They're asking me about that, then something has clued them in that this might be the best thing for their pet. And who am I to say what's going to be the best modality? Because I think people also have to be careful to not do too many things at once. It's very easy to go on the internet and you do this research and you find all these options. And the next thing you know, you've ordered 100 supplements for your pet. Seen this. Get the bags, the suitcases of supplements coming in. And that's not always in your pet's best interest either. Let's sort through those and not overwhelm the body by doing too many things like that. But if people are really drawn to a particular supplement, I will roll with that usually. If it's not going to do any harm.
Right.
And I've experienced this too, where somebody will come in and say, I really want to start my pet on this. And like, okay, doesn't look like there's any contraindications. Let's give it a go and it'll work fantastic. And I could have 10 other pets with very similar issues. and it won't make any difference.
Right.
But it's because the person knew, and I think all supplements out there are like that. They got to the marketplace because they've been really effective for a certain number of pets. All things work fantastic in some cases. Nothing works in all cases, or we'd have a handful of supplements out there and that's all we'd ever need, because this is biology. And all pets are different. But again, there's always hope and there's always options. And it's just a matter of sifting through and starting slowly. I mean, my approach more and more is we move slowly with pets. We add in a couple of things, then let's see what the response is. Let's watch what the pet's doing. Do we need to build on that? If we get to a point where the pet's just doing fantastic, I don't keep adding stuff in. If things are not going the way we'd like to see, or things get worse, okay, that's a sign. We just need to change direction. That doesn't mean like, okay, there's nothing we can do. It's like, okay, that direction wasn't the best one for this particular scenario. Let's change gears and go a different direction. And that's, like I said, the thing about alternative therapies is there's always an option. There's always something to try, as long as the pet is engaged and wants to live. And honestly, they do sometimes get to the point where they are done. And then we need to honor that. And that, we do sometimes get to that. But in the meantime, when it comes to managing supposed life-threatening conditions, preserving the pet's quality of life, there's so many things we can do. So do research, just get another opinion, whether it's with me or somebody else. Go talk to somebody else. And these clinics that won't let you in without vaccinating your pet, don't even go there. Don't give them a penny of your money. That infuriates me, especially when pets are already sick. And, well, we've got to give them, that's the first thing people are told. Well, you can't come in here unless we update all the vaccines. Like, are you kidding me? This pet's already sick. And now you're going to pile vaccines on.
Let's assault their immune system again with another, dormant virus that we're going to put inside of them. That's crazy to me that happens along those lines. But you made a great point too, is yes, the internet is a wealth of information, some true, some not true, but it's all these different things that have helped a dog at one point enough to sell a product and get a product out there that can do it. But by going to somebody you trust, a DVM that will bring you in and have this discussion with you and really sit down with you from outside eyes that looks at this and says, like you did, like you look at it and you're like, okay, this is what you've researched, this is what you were drawn to, let's try it. But let's try this slowly. Let's try just this piece and see what kind of difference it makes before we throw more at it. Because I'm a big believer. I think we over supplement. I think we go through and we throw the kitchen sink at it, hoping something works. And then if it does work, if you ask the question, what was it that worked? You can't answer it. Because you're like, well, I tried like 17 different things.
Right. We don't know what's working or not. And are all those supplements actually making things worse?
Yeah, absolutely. And assaulting the body in these cases. But really, really everything for this show today, and this is where I really want to get it across to all of our viewers, is that hope is a beautiful thing, is putting yourself in that world of hope. My dog will get better. My dog, this is going to be, and whether it gets better in one way or another, you're going to follow this path down of feeling good instead about the possibilities of what's going to happen for your pet, instead of looking at it with that doom and gloom prognosis that you may have left a conventional clinic with.
Exactly. And it's huge, and that doesn't cost you anything. And it's so powerful. So powerful.
Hope is free.
Yeah, totally.
And so, with all of this, I've seen it in, my practice. I've seen it with other things in my life, that when I think at that world of hope, I do it. So something was shared with me years ago when I wanted to complete Ironman. Now, Ironman is a 2.4 mile swim, 112 mile bike ride, and a 26.2 mile run, all done in less than 17 hours to get the designation of being an Ironman. And I remember when I was thinking about doing it, I was in a conversation with somebody. They're like, you know, Ironman is 70% mental. And I'm like, that can't be true. That is a long day of activity and work and all this stuff. And until I did it, Ironman is 70%.
So did you do the Ironman? Did you complete it?
I did in 2011. So
I'm
technically I'm an Ironman.
Yeah.
So I don't have the red suit and I can't fly, but you know, but really is on that side of knowing that you could do it was the reason why I crossed that finish line.
Because how easy, I mean, I hear that, I'm pretty active and I hear that and I'm like, oh my God, like I could never do that. But if you tell yourself that, you'll never do it.
Right.
But you got to get out there and try, and yeah, you still have to train, but yeah, it's a mental game, and everybody competing is in good shape. So probably who wins, yeah, they might be a better athlete, but a lot of it is more, they're just more able to, it's those final miles, right? It's the keeping going when you're just like, oh man, I'm tired, I don't know if I can do this. Yeah. And you push through, you hit the wall and you push through and you're able to keep going. I think, you know, I watch the Olympics and you look at, you know, people get the difference between the gold medal and silver or bronze is like hundredths of a second. So what's the difference there? They're all fully capable athletes, and it's probably the mental game on that particular day.
Is belief. Absolutely. So even with your pet was diagnosed with something, you don't know what it is. I'm going to challenge you to believe that you can believe, listen to your intuition, listen to yourself because you are super smart, and listen to those pieces because that's going to lead you to believe.
And find help. Look for help. Look for resources. They are out there.
Yep. So thank you, Dr. Judy, for this week's show. I geek out about this stuff all the time.
Me too.
And so when you really look at all these pieces, there's so many other things to heal your pet besides the drug that they want to give it.
Absolutely.
Okay. Enjoy your day. Thank you so much for this incredible show. And I hope everyone out there enjoyed it.
Bye, everybody.
We'll see ya.